Good afternoon. We're going to call this meeting to order. We're going to do a roll call. Oh, Maurice, I see you. Did you forget to push your button? Maurice is here. He says it's absent, but he's not. Mayor Schumer, how are you doing out there in the great north? You dug yourself out of the ice? Yeah, good. Any pecuniary declaration of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, I need a motion to adopt the minutes of the transit meeting for February 5th. What did I do wrong?
I'm just thinking because Chair Henry.
I think we do have some declarations of pecuniary, declarations anyway, due to the motion coming up with veterans. I think we have a couple. So do you want to, okay. Chair Henry?
Yes, same declaration as a council. My daughter's a serving officer in the Canadian Armed Forces along with her husband.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Garrett?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. My apologies, I forgot. I have my son-in-law's in the Canadian Armed Forces as well.
No apologies needed. I forgot to, so. Okay, need a motion to adopt the minutes of the Transit Committee meeting of February the 5th. Moved by Commissioner Watton, seconded by Commissioner Mulcahy. Is there any questions? All in favor? Thank you. General Manager Holmes.
I'm good. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and nice to see you after a couple of months. We're going to walk through the GM information report, and we're also going to talk a bit about the other report in the agenda today in regards to the service transition that we went through in 2024. So just a few highlights from February. In terms of when our data covers. Good news is that our collisions are lower this year relative to last year. As you recall, we were on the wrong end last year, but we're starting to make some improvements. And we'll attribute that to the work that our operations staff are doing in terms of reviewing root causes, retraining, accountability, and those types of issues. I will say that February was a challenge. As you know, we had a couple significant weather events which taxed us, but we got through unscathed. Ridership in February was lower by 11% relative to last year. It was concerning when we first saw that number, but generally when it is colder and snowy, people tend not to travel as much, so there is a reason why it was lower. I am really pleased. I saw the report from our data analytics team this morning for March, and ridership was back up to 2024 levels, which was good. More to come next month on that. On-demand boardings continues to improve year over year. So there were roughly 22,584 in total, and there were of that 14,046 were for active customers registered with specialized services. With the on-demand network, on-time performance was 91%. And 75% for specialized transit trips specifically. Service availability, which is the amount of service we delivered relative to what was planned, was 95.3%. Down a bit from December, but if you recall, ridership drops in December, service levels drop a little bit. So we were able to hit 100% in December, but with a full service back up and running in January, we did have a slight drop in availability. And our unaccommodated rate on demand continues to be higher than any of us would like. And again, I will remind everyone it is a function of capacity. It's a very popular service. Yeah, we're still dealing with the capacity. We have, I believe, an additional hours that we'll be rolling out as early as June this year. So we'll start to see the benefits of that increased capacity a little later on this year. Part of the increase in ridership that we did see through this year on on-demand was a result of the investments in on-demand that were made last year through the budget process. They started rolling out later in the year, and you can see that in the increased riders that we're seeing across the network. I did want to touch a bit on the on-demand story just while we're here, and this is internal information that we take a look at, we track and monitor, and it really does provide a more holistic picture of on-demand. And if, we'll talk about the transition last year, but on-demand and the way we're delivering service now is relatively new. The new platform's only a year and a half old, so a lot of the data that we have access to is, again, relatively new, and we're still figuring out the story to tell on that. But I just wanted to show a few of the key pieces of information that we're tracking on a regular basis for on-demand. And if you look in the top left, the on-time performance, again, it's been very good. So for those trips that we are able to deliver, we're on time 85% of the time, which exceeds our target of 80%. If you look at the large chart there, this is all regarding feedback from customers. And I've highlighted a few pieces that are really important to take a look at. I'll really compare January and February of last year to January and February of this year. And you can see the total feedback from customers has increased significantly from 532 to 765. But that increase really is all positive responses. So and as you know, it's generally more difficult to get positive feedback than negative feedback and complaints. So the story is really good in terms of how residents, customers, riders, they're feeling and how that's improving over time. We went from just about half of the feedback last year to up over 66% this year. And again, it's really that big jump in the amount of feedback we're getting, and for the most part, it's positive. The negative feedback has remained relatively consistent since 2023. So it's good to see that that number is not increasing, even though we are increasing the levels of service. On the top right, and we talked about this, and you'll hear us say that often, it's really difficult to compare the DRT of today with the DRT of 2019 and before, because we really are a different service. Our service models are different. But when we look at, and this is, we hear a lot of feedback from specialized transit customers that on-demand has taken service away from them, and they don't have access to it. If you look at 2018 to 2023 and the number of active customers, and those are the number of customers who've actually booked the service, used the service within the past year, you can see a dramatic drop between 2018 and 2023. And that's not just that's not influence of the pandemic. If you recall, this council's invested significantly in accessibility of the transit network, particularly on the scheduled service side with hard surfaces across the region. Our partners in the municipalities are extending pedestrian networks so that people can use the sidewalks to get to the bus stops. All low-floor buses with ramps. If you were a customer back in before 2014, we had buses with stairs, and you had no choice but to use specialized transit. So the number of people now who are using the scheduled service, who may have before didn't have a choice, has greatly reduced. So that's where we're seeing that drop in active customers in 2023. We are starting to see that jump now, though. So if you can see in 2024, the number of active customers is starting to increase significantly. And that's what we expected. Things leveled off, and now we're starting to see those numbers start to improve. But from an annual trip per active customer, again, we significantly have improved relative to 2018, so people using the service are using it more. And it was fairly consistent in 2024. There's a few dynamics there. There's a slight decrease, but really it's been pretty consistent over the last couple of years. And finally, another common piece of feedback we get is, well, I'm on the vehicle way too long. So that last chart on the bottom right is the ride duration. That was for October, November of last year, sort of our most recent data, getting away from any weather impacts. And you can see that 48% of almost half their trips, people are on the vehicle for 15 minutes or less. Another 31% are less than a half an hour, and the balance through there. So in terms of long trips, we're going to have that based on the nature of our region. We have people traveling from Beaverton all the way down into Oshawa, and that's going to be a long trip. We have people traveling across the region from Clarington to Pickering and into Scarborough, that's going to be a longer trip. If you look at our scheduled service, for example, in the 900, Pulse 900, that goes from downtown Oshawa to Centennial College, that's over an hour trip on its own. To get to Pickering, it's 45 minutes. So in terms of the duration that people are spending in on-demand, it is very comparable to what the scheduled service is in terms of trip times. So I'm going to ask Kamika to come up now because she's going to talk to you a little bit about the Sunflower Program and Hidden Disabilities. We did mention this at COW last month, but we are quickly moving towards implementation, and Kamika's got a little more information to share with you today.
Thanks, Bill. Good afternoon. Hello, hi, thank you. We are delighted to announce that Durham Region Transit has officially launched the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower Program. With the invaluable support of our training and maintenance department, we have successfully trained all of our staff, majority of our staff, a good portion, 80%. My colleagues and I were also out on the road, engaging with our drivers and maintenance teams, discussing the program and providing training. These conversations have been enlightening, as many shared their experiences of knowing or supporting individuals with hidden disabilities and highlighting the significance of the Sunflower Program to Durham Region Transit. During our soft launch, which we just started on Monday, DRT staff will receive a supporter pin, a certificate of completion for their training, and a quick reference card. I brought visuals, so this is the certificate of completion, the pin, supporter pin, and the quick reference card. I brought one for each of you. It just tells the pledge that we have as a Sunflower member, and then just the 7 signs that we kind of stick to. Each staff member is reminded of the Sunflower Pledge when they wear their pin, ensuring a supportive and inclusive environment for individuals with non-visible disabilities and providing them with assistance through a lanyard or a pin. Despite several changes to our original plan due to upcoming elections and some shipping issues, we are proud to announce that our public launch will take place on April 29th at 1 p.m. here at Durham Region Headquarters. On April 29th, our riders will be able to request a pin through the DRT website, our social media links, or through our customer service. Once it's been ordered, the pins will be mailed out. So that's it. Oh, how do I do that? What do I pause? Sorry. And then this is just a little bit this is a little bit of what we've gotten back from the community in regards to the Sunflower Program being here at Durham Region Transit. We will be sharing a few more quotes that we have received as we have our own town hall, and I believe next week at the town hall as well. So, thank you. Do you want to add anything?
No?
Okay.
Are there any questions?
I'll back at them at the end. Okay.
I will just say that I know I can speak for my community. They are absolutely thrilled. And I'm giving out lanyards all over the place. Thank you very much. As a mom with a daughter with epilepsy, she has her lanyard on because she can wear it wherever she goes. So that it's not just a DRT thing, but it's people that have had this training understand what it is. So, and given that this is World Autism Day, it's an excellent opportunity for being able to announce this. Thank you.
Perfect. Can I just mention, I was at the Ajax Ajax Library last night, and I saw all the signs, and it made me proud that we were doing this as well. So, thank you.
And lastly, we just want to also thank our corporate communication partners who have been absolutely invaluable to us with our social media posts and the planning for the launch event as well. They're just not here today.
And I was remiss to introduce Deb Daniels. She's our Program Manager of Engagement and Change. My apologies, Deb. One of the things you'll see as well, and you may know, we always struggle with a priority seating on a bus. There are those seats at the front that are meant for people with disabilities, mobility devices. We always struggle as an industry, not not just DRT, with people not giving up their seats for people. We've now placed, if you see on all the buses, you will see that large sunflower decal we put in that area as well, just as a further indication to people that this is a space that is reserved for people with disabilities. So we're hoping that that as well will have a positive influence on the rest of the community to recognize, particularly if someone has a sunflower on, they're wearing a lanyard or a sunflower pin, that'll be a nice sign for them to perhaps get up and offer their seat to somebody who needs it more. We also highlighted in the GM report a May 5th service change. So we're starting to implement some of the additional revenue service hours that were budgeted for this year. As we've talked about, there's going to be a new route 618, which is going to travel between Port Perry and Beaverton throughout the day, Monday to Friday. There'll also be some trips that will come down and continue on through to the North Campus. So people will be able to travel on scheduled service from Beaverton through to the North Campus in Oshawa. On demand will still continue to be available when that scheduled service is not operating. There's some other changes to the network. So the 407, which is going to be extended to North Campus, the 920, which is one of our heaviest routes actually, is being reorganized to address crowding and improve travel time. Again, it travels from Scarborough Town Center through Durham and up to the North Campus as well. There's a number of routes that are going to see new midday and evening service on several routes. We have as well service investments into routes that have been challenged for reliability so that we can be, again, more on time and available to customers when we say we're going to be there. And then finally, you're going to see the resumption of the 917Z to the Toronto Zoo and the Rouge National Park. All those details are summarized in that report. We were really pleased as well. Wanted to let you know that Durham College reached out to us a while ago and said, hey, transportation is a key issue for our students, which we know based on the delegations that we've heard here in the chambers over the past. And they asked us to engage on a hackathon and how could they enable their IT students to leverage DRT open data to come up with solutions and help them not only for some practical solutions, but also in their education experience. So on March 22nd and 23rd, over the course of the weekend, a number of our staff were there as mentors, as judges for the final projects that came forward. Really pleased as well. The corporate communications engagement team really helped and supported us as well through this. And if you can just, I don't know if anyone's been involved in a hackathon, but basically the students worked for 24 hours straight from 11 on Saturday to 11 in the morning on Sunday. It was just amazing to see what they came up with in terms of in that short period of time. From nothing to what they were able to use. And there were three key winners, just wanted to highlight here, sort of a bus buddy, so looking at how can they leverage the data to provide customers with information about is a bus full or the loading of the bus. And then a couple others regarding tracking applications in terms of bus routes, real-time information. Again, some of it we have through our transit app already, which is exceptional in terms of anyone traveling and real-time information. Again, highly encourage all of our customers to leverage the transit app so that they know when their service is coming and any changes to the network get represented there. But to see what the students came up with in just over that 24-hour period and actually developing apps that leverage the data was quite exciting. So we're really pleased to be able to support the students at Durham College. So I want to talk just a little bit about the other report, information report in today's package regarding the service model transition that we went through last year. And again, from a highlight, really we've been looking at delivering more service by reimagining how we deliver transit. So how can we do more? Not necessarily with less, but how can we reinvest those resources to actually do more and start limiting some of the tax burden on our ratepayers. So just a quick background. So as you know, DRT was formed in 2006. And at that time, we've always had contracted service delivery from third-party service providers. Back at that point, roughly 15% of the scheduled service was contracted out, and that was basically bringing in the contract that the town of Whitby had at the time we maintained that right through until the end of 2023. At the same time, about 40% of the specialized trips were delivered through multiple contracts with taxi companies within the local municipalities. So really that contracting out of portions of service has been part of our history, part of our legacy since we were first formed. In 2014, I mentioned this before, that was when we retired our last high floor bus, at which case the entire scheduled service was accessible with low floor buses, ramps, and we started in earnest in investing in infrastructure as well that was accessible for our customers. In 2016, we launched a pilot on demand up in the municipalities of Scugog, Uxbridge, and Brock, and we even had certain days of the week where we would schedule trips from Beaverton up to Aurelia and also into Lindsay. Unfortunately, the trips to Aurelia and Lindsay just were not sustainable at the time, so we did cease those after about a year. But On Demand has been operating in some shape or form since 2016. And again, that was through a third-party service provider. In 2020, after recognizing the challenges we've had in terms of managing multiple taxi contracts and the limitations of service, we went to one service provider for our supplementary services for specialized services. So they were able to travel across the region without limitation, and we had one contract to manage for the specialized transit. In 2022, if you recall, that's when we integrated On Demand and Specialized into one service, which resulted in commingling and leveraging those resources to serve both On Demand and Specialized trips. In 2023, we held an engagement session with customers because it had been about a year since we had made that switch. So we engaged customers and their families at a session to obtain their feedback, challenges they may experience, successes they had. And we did report back to this executive committee in terms of the issues of accessibility, the fact that it is an on-demand service, it's a shared ride service, and more importantly, we don't prioritize trips for trip purpose, destination, or specific individuals. And then finally, in last year is when we sort of finished our service model transition, where effective January 1st of last year, all scheduled services were delivered by DRT staff, which meant that we no longer had a service contract for scheduled service that used to be with the town of Whitby, but we brought that work inside for staff and fully contracting out of the on-demand network to the third-party vendor. So I'm going to ask Alex Mack to come up. He's our financial supervisor. He's going to talk a bit about the finances. Jessica Gillies is going to come up and talk a bit about the outcomes when it comes to the operational perspective of what we saw last year.
So I'll just go over the estimated cost avoidance that we've experienced in, oops, sorry, let me just switch the slide. So on the first slide, we see that there is a cost avoidance of estimated 1.6 million to 2 million in 2024 as a result of the service transition. So it's consisting of two factors here. The first one is the 3 million, which is a gross annual cost avoidance. That's driven by switching to a third-party contractor as a result of having a lower contractor hourly rates as compared to running our on-demand service internally. And also this allowed us to expand transit service access for residents across Durham. Also considered in this $3 million figure is the fact that DRT can avoid having to purchase demand responsive vehicles, which is now provided by our third-party contractor. On the flip side, it does cost $1.2 million more to switch all the fixed services into DRT. But again, that's offset by the $3 million. As Bill mentioned previously, the service provider provided approximately 15% of all of DRT's scheduled service hours, and now it's delivered internally by DRT to enable a consistent level of service and high level of customer experience. On to the second point, DRT leveraged these efficiencies to stay within reach of service growth targets. What that means is, despite the fact, and as you recall, as part of our 10-year financing strategy, We were supposed to increase our hours between 2023 and 2025 by approximately 162,000 growth hours. Despite multiple finding challenges that were out of DRT's control through this timeframe, we were still able to grow by 154,000 hours, which again highlights the efficiencies, operation efficiencies that we've experienced through the service model transition. With that, I'll pass it over to my colleague Jessica.
Routes previously managed by the contract service provider are showing improved on-time performance by 3 to 5%. Having one pool of operators and vehicles allows our scheduling team to leverage that common pool to permit more efficiencies in scheduling. Having one scheduled service board period rather than two permits our planning and scheduling team to redirect resources to focus on improving service reliability. Of the employees that we hired who previously worked for our contractor, just through informal conversations with them, they have relayed that they are happy and grateful to be working at Durham Region Transit now, citing appreciation for the training and the support that they received, along with having clear policies and processes. They reported an improved sense of consistency and equity as an employee of DRT now. All scheduled service operators are now receiving the same pay to perform the same work. Dealing with a single on-demand provider simplifies process development, follow-up, and oversight, as well as provides a streamlined customer service experience. And we've seen continuous improvement from the contractor over the year. Scheduled services delivered internally allows us to know what's happening at all times with our buses and operators. Transit Control can see and manage the whole network. There was no measurable change in customer service metrics. So for us, this means our customers did not notice the service change, meaning it was seamless from their perspective. And I'll pass it back over to Bill Holmes.
Thank you. So in summary, with the service model transition, again, we achieved our objectives of enhancing our service, putting more service on the road without additional costs to the region. So it was, from our perspective, it was very positive in terms of that change, and we're really happy with how things are moving along. At this point in time, again, clear delineation between on-demand and scheduled service, clear responsibilities, good oversight of contracts and management of those contracts that are there. So it's been a very positive experience. So that ends our presentation for today, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Garin.
You keep trying, Marilyn, so it's all good. Bill, thanks for the presentation again this month. There's one thing I'm going to contradict you on, was the reference to bad weather in February lowers transit ridership. Here in Uxbridge, we had record ridership. We had almost 4,500, which we've never seen, despite a pretty nasty February for sure. So for that, I'm really grateful. And we're not done there, right? We've got some consultations coming up in the next couple of weeks with our seniors community. Hopefully that drives even more people, or inspires maybe would be a better term, to take advantage of the on-demand and the two buses that we have running here. So a small correction, but an appreciative one at the same time. So thank you.
Chair Henry.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick question on costs. With the reduction in the carbon tax, and I know we have fuel in storage for use, but going forward, have we done an estimate of what the savings will be on the purchasing of diesel fuel till the end of the year?
I'm going to ask Chris Hornberg. If we do, he'd be the person that has it at this point.
Thanks very much, and through the chair. So we do hedge our fuel purchases, so we'll work with finance on that, but we would expect to see reductions in cost, just like you would as a consumer regularly buying gasoline or diesel. So any savings that we're able to get, we will certainly inform council of.
Perhaps we can bring that back to the next meeting. We can get a calculation of a go-forward estimate of savings through this calendar year and what that may mean for next year as well. We'll bring that back to the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Schumer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I was going to ask this question during the report, but you've mentioned it obviously in the presentation about the upcoming service enhancement in the north with the dedicated scheduled service. So, and I know there's no time for that implementation yet, but can you give us an idea what the timeline would be as far as notification or giving us the heads up? Because and we've already talked about this, the education portion, the information down to the people who will use it will be that critical part. So I'm just wondering how much lead time we'll have when we do find that date.
So through the chair, May 5th is the date when we'll see 618 in Beaverton, so May 5th of this year. And I know that our corporate communications staff have already been in touch with township staff. I believe there may have even been a newsletter. There's a March 31st deadline, so we try to get something in there from that perspective to give everyone a heads up that it's coming. And I do know our communication staff are working very diligently on that campaign. In general, we don't communicate too soon because then people forget. We tend to give the teaser such as we do in newsletters, hints on the website at these meetings, and then closer to the implementation date, once we have all the details of the schedule, the timing. So, 2 weeks in advance, that's when we'll be blitzing things for sure. But I know our corporate communications staff are looking at this as a priority because it is a totally new resumption of service up through Brock. So we will start seeing those promotional materials in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, and along that line, I don't know what kind of data we keep, but obviously there would have been a lot of calls in the past years, people in the, especially the urban areas in Brock that would have either requested, on demand, maybe even used the on demand. Do we have a way to reach out to them directly and tell them, look, you're now going to have this scheduled service? Or is that something, that's a bit of a wish list? Maybe, I don't know if that's indeed possible that we could reach out to people who have either used on demand or, tried to and the trip failed for whatever reason.
Through the chair, let me take that back. I don't know what's possible at this point. But if we do have their email address, for example, we'll see what we can do in terms of sending emails to individuals. If they're registered for on demand, we have various pieces of information. If they're not, we don't. So if they just called in without being registered, we wouldn't have that information. But let us take that back, and we'll look and see what we can do over the course of the next month in terms of reaching out to those people who have previously reached out to us looking for service.
Okay, thank you very much.
Commissioner Brenner.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Bill, I know you didn't touch on it in your presentation, but is there any possibility of any reconsideration in terms of the 118 route? I know it's scheduled to go back in full-time in September, but for the people that are up in Seton in particular, any chance in getting that in along the same timelines as the implementation changes for the summer schedules that you're going to be posting?
So the route 118. The route 118, in terms of the additional new midday service, is planned to be implemented on May 5th as well. So it'll be starting on May 5th. So the residents of Seton will have that midday service within a month.
Can you put your mic back on? Yeah.
That's fantastic, Bill, because everybody thought it was September, but a May target date is going to make a big difference to a lot of people. Thank you.
I don't have any other questions, so thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next we have correspondence from Durham Region Council about a resolution regarding free transit for veterans of Canadian Armed Forces as correspondence 6.1. So let's see here. I'm going to need a mover and a seconder, Commissioner Watton and Commissioner Carter. Commissioner Watton, would you like to speak to this? Recorded vote. You okay over there?
Thank you. Only simply to say that I think it's great, and it's been probably should have been done a long time ago, and I look forward to it getting completely implemented.
Commissioner Carter, did you want to say anything?
First of all, good afternoon, Madam Chair. No, I'm fully supportive, and I think it's a great initiative, especially at this particular time, and I'm fully supportive of it. So thank you for the opportunity to be able to bring it forward, and I wish you the best of the day.
Thank you. Commissioner Garrett? I can't hear you. Oh, wait a minute. Push your thing again. There you go.
There we go. Thank you. This may have been discussed in committee, but I missed some of that meeting, so I apologize if it's a little bit redundant. I'm just trying to get a sense, specifically from a transit perspective and potential impact on transit or on transit's budget. Certainly, we want to support our Canadian Armed Forces any way we can, but at the same time, trying to get a sense of the impact. Do we have any estimate? And I'll just frame that question around, we've had other motions brought before council where it seemed like a really good idea until we did some more homework and found that perhaps we acted a little too quickly without full due diligence. So has our finance members of transit analyzed the impact of this decision?
I'm going to let General Manager Holmes answer that.
Thank you. Through the chair, short answer is no. We have no idea how many members of the armed forces would be using the system. Our recommendation is for us to do some of that homework and sort of come back with what would this look like. We can make some assumptions regarding financial impacts. There's logistical issues we'll want to make sure we consider as well. It's amazing, our fare for 12 and under is free, and it's amazing how many 12-year-olds claim to be 12 have facial hair, and so there's issues there to prevent conflict on the bus, et cetera, that we would want to spend some time looking at, and then coming back here to say this is what it would look like, and here's some recommendations that might enable us to move forward with this program. So we want to do some of that homework first in terms of what's it going to look like, what any potential financial and operational impacts or barriers that we would need to overcome to make sure that we can do this well.
Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate that, Madam Chair. If I can go one step further, sorry, Rhonda, are you up?
No, I turned her mic off. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I declared that potential conflict because of my son-in-law being in the armed forces. One question that he asked was related to how do we define who would be part of this? So are you active, past, family member? Like how far where does the definition of a member of the Canadian Armed Forces fit as well? So General Manager Holmes, I'm not looking for you to actually answer that, but if it could be part of your review to make sure that we're offering it in a generous and fair way, but at the same time, managing that not all people claiming it may be Canadian Armed Forces. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Mulcahy.
As long as you keep trying, it's all good. So do we need to defer this? Is this written in such a way that it gives you the opportunity to come back with that information?
I think if you could give us, give direction, maybe, do you want a time?
June, September?
By September for a full report? Could you give direction for that?
Yeah, I would definitely offer that we refer it back just until then, because just even reading number 1, it says request that the Transit Executive Committee consider the concept. Well, we don't know. So in order for us to have all that information to make that consideration, I think we do need to give you that time to do that. So I'd be happy to motion that forward. Thank you.
And Commissioner Garrett can't second it because he declared a conflict, correct? So, oh, Commissioner Schumer, are you willing to second? Yep, okay, perfect. So we have a mover and a seconder to defer until September for more information. Okay, is there any questions to that deferral? If not, all in favor? Oh, record a vote, sorry, we have to do a recorded vote.
Just looking for Commissioner Carter online. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. So to the report of General Manager Holmes, I need a mover and a seconder. Commissioner McCaughey and Chair Henry. Is there any questions to the report? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you. And I need a motion to receive the report on 2/7, the 2024 Service Delivery Model Transition Outcomes. Commissioner Carter, Commissioner Garrett, any questions? All in favor? Thank you. Have no advisory committee resolutions, no confidential matters, do we have any other business? Seeing none, no other business. Next meeting is May 7th at 1:30. Thank you very much, everyone. Oh, we need a motion to adjourn. Oh my gosh. Commissioner Monk, okay. And it's getting worse. And Commissioner Watton, all in favor? Thank you.